This is Reynolds Podcast, The Creative Mindset.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Creative Mindset, a podcast about what the future holds at the intersection of creativity and technology. I'm Ray Namoto, the founding partner of Ironco, a global innovation firm based in New York, Tokyo, and Singapore. Art was my very first love when it came to subject matters that I was interested in when I was young. From the very early days in kindergarten all the way to college, I was deeply interested in art, so I chose it as my academic study at the university. When I was in college, I decided to mix my artistic interest with emerging technologies, and that's what led me to a career that I have at the intersection of creativity and technology. Andrew Zolty, known professionally as Breakfast, is someone who does this for a living, but as an artist. We've known each other since our 20s as we were building our respective careers in the same industry, but he decided to pursue pure art by making a business out of it. He started to focus on it full-time around 2008 during the financial crisis. Now an internationally acclaimed artist, Breakfast is a data and kinetic artist whose work centers on transforming real-time data from the natural world into digitally controlled kinetic artworks that tell stories. He has a studio in Brooklyn with around 15 engineers to invent and build kinetic sculptures for museums, corporations, and private collectors around the world. He considers himself the lead singer and songwriter of the band he leads called Breakfast. Today's conversation is an in-depth introspection of pursuing a creative life. We chronicle how he transitioned from being a commercial designer to a pure artist, how he built his practice as an art practitioner and a business owner, how he protects his intellectual property, his vision, and the goal as an artist, and finally, a very yet profound piece of advice for anyone wishing to pursue a creative life. So let's get started. The three tiers of types of work that you do, the most simple tier is these editions, you said. And can anybody buy them? You know, if somebody was a collector and he is interested in, like, how do they buy them?
Yeah, no, I don't discriminate at all. I mean, anyone can buy them. They're not very cheap, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So they do start as of today. I mean, we have some that can get down to about $20,000. It's about the cheapest thing I sell. Although this year, I'm trying very hard to create pieces that are less, although the whole tariff thing has thrown that for a loop.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The people who own my work is kind of mind-boggling at this point. Like Whoopi Goldberg just bought a piece recently for her home. Yeah. Then, I mean, I got permission to mention her name, but a lot of the people I can't say who they are.
Sure.
But there's a lot of like big tech people, unsurprisingly, that own them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, literally, if you write an inquiry on our website, we're going to come back. We do have, I have a lot of galleries around the world that I work with, not in like any kind of exclusive way, but like people, galleries have bought the work and they sell it in different parts of the world. But yeah, I mean, it's all over the map.
Do you feel, I mean, you've been doing this now for close to at least this pure art part of your work, doing for about 10 years or so. How do you approach, this sounds kind of shallow, but at the same time, I think it's a necessity, which is how do you market yourself? Like, how do you market your work? And especially, carrying 15, 20 people all the time, it is and I don't mean this in a negative way, a burden, or I should say responsibility that you have as a studio owner. And that isn't a light responsibility to carry. So, and you are at the forefront. You're the front man. You're the singer of the band, so to speak. Yeah. So, how do you approach that aspect of creating demand and awareness?
Yeah, it's funny you say the singer of the band, because that's often how I try to explain it. Is that in the art world, I wish that made sense to more people, meaning like there are no bands. I mean, there are some studios and there are collectives, but it's not an entirely accurate statement. Where a band is like, I write all the songs, but they wouldn't sound the way they do without the band that I have. And it's also become a bit funny just over the last few years, we've it's something I have mixed feelings about, which is like essentially today my name in the art world is breakfast, like the way that you have Cause or Banksy or something like that. Like essentially I introduce myself, hi, I'm breakfast, which is a weird thing to say, but it's accurate, and in the sense that for the people who buy art, it makes the most sense to them. Like, who is the one conceiving the idea? And the honest truth is people don't react very well to the idea of buying art from a company. So it's a lot of just like weird terminology. So anyhow, so these days it is sort of, like I'm breakfast, I'm the artist. And then I have this team that, I wouldn't be able to do this without. Most of the awareness, I guess, of my work is almost all through Instagram, I have to say. Like that is where, it just, like it does, it just gets shared everywhere and passed along. And I know I end up in a lot of my pieces have end up in tons of architects' proposals saying, oh, let's do something different, things like that. But it is you can't do like any sort of traditional marketing per se. So it is a lot of it's a lot of putting, I do try to get pieces out in places that are ideal for people. I got a piece like outside Dumbo House, the Soho House in Dumbo, and things like that, where I put that there like years ago.
I remember seeing, I know that.
Like, and it's like the amount, whenever I talk to almost anyone in New York, they've seen that piece. And it's like, so like I do a lot of sort of interesting things like that, but I'd say Instagram is where things have spread. I don't know if that's exactly what you're asking, but
no.
Literally how
are you? I mean, this is the nitty gritty of it, but like, are you personally running your breakfast Instagram account?
No, you write breakfast. You're talking to me. Yeah, it's something I've tried. I've tried to bring on people to handle the social media, to even shoot our videos. I've gotten a little bit better on the video front, but the truth is like the artworks, they're a little complicated. There's a lot to them. Yeah. And I've realized that in order to tell the story of the artwork, oftentimes I have to shoot it myself. So that because it doesn't make sense to people. And I literally will change what the piece does. Like I'm changing the software in real time to make it do something so I can get the right shot to tell the right story. So there's a lot of stuff I'm still doing that everyone looks at me. It's like, they say it's not a good use of my time theoretically, but I haven't been able to find a way to hand it over to anyone. But
the other two layers that you talked about, using these mediums or one of these mediums create a commission piece, and then the third layer that you talked about was a fully custom piece that you create from scratch.
Yeah,
are they coming to you? Talk to me through the process of a museum or a company or an organization coming to you and starting. What is that process like?
It's so much simpler than everyone thinks, including the people coming.
Simpler.
Meaning that it is, I don't know, I'm like, an airport will reach out and they'll, to be honest, they're like, I think if I really call it for what it is, they want something that is just going to wow people. Like there's I get a ton of emails where the subject line is like, wow piece. Right? It's like people writing and they're like, we need a wow piece. So that tends to be, and so they come and they honestly, a lot of times, sometimes they see a particular thing I've done and they're like, we want something like this. But a lot of times they're like, we don't know what we want. We just want a wow piece. And then my response to them is honestly just talk to me for 15 minutes. Tell me everything about the space. Tell me about what's important to you. Tell me what success looks like, for the wow piece. And then I will, in all honesty, a lot of times I will do that concepting for free. I've learned this over the years in a weird way. Not always, and I do it less and less because there's so many people reaching out, but I've done it for free in a lot of ways because I don't want anyone to feel like they own whatever I present to them. Because if I go and concept a piece, that piece is something I've conceived. I might have done it for your airport. Like I might have been using you as the thing, but that doesn't mean if you don't buy it, that's a piece that I created. And so if I just do it for free, they can't own the thing. And so even though there's there's an impact there, I'm pretty careful about, like, I won't take money if it means you think you're going to own the thing I present.
Right. Once you get paid, they own it. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that's what they think. And so I try to protect myself from that. But yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, though, it's I'm always trying to tell a story. I mean, the thing I haven't touched on is almost all my pieces use real-time data. So like whether it's climate change data, like things that are happening, like the wind moving outside or on the other side of the world, or solar flares on the surface of the sun, like things like that I use to influence the movements of the pieces. It's not pre-recorded or animated in that way. It's all dynamic visualizations. So I'll often talk to them about themes that are important. Is it sustainability, whatever it might be, to try and find what that data story is that I'm going to tell. But it's generally a pretty quick conversation, honestly.
Have you ever been rejected an idea?
Oh God, yeah. Well, I have to say, I have a pretty good track record. I come back with one. I generally only come back with one idea. And I think I can't really think of anything right now where it's been outright rejected. Very few of these actually go through, though, and that's almost entirely budget related. Because if you're sensing the theme, these things just cost a fortune. They take a lot, timeline or budget. Sometimes people come back and they're like, oh, it looks like we have 3 months instead of a year. And it's like, well, it just can't be done. But generally, they're coming to me. I try to get it. I'm able to usually read them and get a sense of what is important. And I'd honestly say this is where the whole digital marketing background, you're like knowing what makes a brand happy. Like it actually allows you to go create an artwork, like, and understanding that side of things, like where I'm not going away and just making the thing I want. I'm going to make the thing I want. But I totally get that they need to be happy and it needs to tick boxes for them. Sure. I still use all those same tools to make sure they feel like, oh yeah, this makes total sense for us. Like I'm going to make sure that's important. Which
so that background, having worked at an agency and working for brands, comes in handy.
You can layer on the, dare I say, the rationale for something. Where I imagine another artist might come and be like, this is the piece, isn't it great? And like, I sit there and like, look, I'm going to make the presentation that they're used to. I'm going to show them why this makes sense and what the benefits are. And I'll add in, I'll give them that proposal with all the things they can then take to their boss to make sure the boss, you know what I mean? Like I know the layers that they have to go through to get something approved. So I try to give them those tools and that,
I'd also imagine that you would have to say no to a request or a project, or once you start a project, a request. How do you decide what to say no to?
When they want to put a logo on it, which is constantly. Like when people, that's the problem. A lot of people still reach out. I'll put it this way. You want to hear something crazy? In 15 years, 15 years of doing this, I genuinely think every single big agency, medium agency has reached out at some point.
Sure.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of agencies have reached out. I've never done a project with any of them. Not once. And it's because that's not me turning them away. It's me saying to them, look, it's because they're trying to use me and my studio as a production house for their concept. Right. And they want to, or there's honestly even other artists that reach out and they want to collaborate. And it's not that I say no, I just say, look, when I collaborate with another artist, I'm going to do the majority of the work here. Like, I know what you're asking. You want to paint on my bricks, right? I'm going to make this bricks thing. You know what it's going to look like? I'm going to do all the work. I'm going to do 95% of the work. It's going to go out there. If they're a bigger name than I am in the art world, then all the press is going to say, this artist just did this really cool kinetic piece, and somehow my name will get lost in it. I'm pretty much just doing a protective thing where I'm like, look, this just, as long as this is like an equal collaboration and like the world will see it that way. And, you know, I can make sure that it's just easy for someone to kind of slap things on top of my stuff and completely own it very easily. So I just have to walk that line really carefully. And honestly,
what was an example of collaboration with another artist that was good for you?
I've done one with Lorenzo Quinn. It's not, I wouldn't say it's my most favorite piece in the world, but like it works well because so what he does is he casts his hands. Like he's known for, I don't know if you've ever seen, like he did a piece in Venice years ago with like these massive, 3-story hands that come out of the canal and like go up. I don't know. He does all these pieces like that. And he did one that's holding a big stainless steel heart. And then I put one of my pieces kind of in the center of that heart. And so it's just very clear who did what, and I'll be honest, even then there's plenty of press that were like, Lorenzo Quinn just did this kinetic thing. And I'm like, but it's enough, like his artistic approach is unique enough and mine is unique enough where it was a good balance. And honestly, I had this conversation with him and he got it. And so it was important, as long as the artist really gets it. It's like, look, this is a collaboration. Our names are always together on this and it's always presented to the press and everyone else like that. It's just, it's just protecting. I just need to be careful because it's very easy to just like take one of my pieces and someone else to kind of unintentionally end up kind of taking credit or getting credit for it all. So,
something like the pearl that you mentioned, and I hadn't actually I've never seen the real thing because I've never been on the Royal Caribbean cruise ship. Is that where it is?
Yep.
Yeah. And you said that it took 4 years.
Yeah.
So something like that, it's so custom and it's so specific that you might not know how much it's going to cost or how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
Right. So, and again, we could turn a whole new episode just about that. But in a nutshell, what was that like?
I mean, it's, I'll split that into two things. At this point, we're pretty good. We've done so many of these pieces now and so many of these projects that we can really estimate them. It takes us a couple hours and we can be pretty close within striking distance. The pearl is on another level, but we essentially padded it to the nines as best we could. And even then I didn't make a dime on that project. And I went into it kind of knowing that, just because, again, if you take, even with it had a big budget, but, literally millions of dollars in parts, millions of dollars in parts. And so whatever's left, and now you spread that over 4 years, it kind of all just goes away. But I went into it knowing that it was such a monumental, unique opportunity that it would benefit my work in the studio in big ways. But I mean, the approach for something like that is, you do a whole feasibility study, you got to do a prototype, so we're doing like real prototypes at the very start to kind of get a sense of where the hassle is going to be. But I mean, that one, it's really hard to encapsulate what that took. There are hundreds of people involved. The thing holds up the decks above it. Like it's structurally part of the ship. And so you're working with the architects but I mean, it's, that one, you get really, I mean, that's where we built a lot of our core team, and we hired the right people for the job, engineering wise. And, it's a massive undertaking.
Yeah. Just to visualize for the sake of the listeners, it's within a cruise ship. And there's a staircase in the middle, and I'm looking at the image. It's this humongous dome that's about 15 meters in diameter, maybe 3, even like 4 stories high. Yeah. And inside that sphere are these tiles, kinetic tiles that move in different directions. Sort of your signature style, this kinetic sculpture that you become known for. Did they have the dome idea, and then they wanted you to think of what to go inside the dome? How that? Yeah,
that's exactly what it was. Yeah. So the architects, it's the first time a ship's ever been built where it has this massive open space in the middle. It's very unusual to do that, and so they did that, and they had this idea for this big kind of dome sphere shape. And so that's literally what they did. They came to me and said, we don't know what to do with this thing. We know it's got to be crazy. We don't want to like skin it in LEDs. And so what would you do with it? And so I came back with a couple ideas early on. They ended up being a little bit too expensive. Then COVID happened. Which really hit their bottom line. So in the middle of this like process where they kind of were on board and said, yes, let's do a kinetic piece. Like we had gotten past that path, and that was just honing in the right one. And then given all the stuff going on with COVID, we kind of had to come up with a new, different direction, which is what it ended up being. But yeah. So, and early on, we were trying to see if we could actually do the exterior as well as the interior. That was the hope, but it was just, the cost was pretty monumental, to say the least.
I know you've been quite busy. You were in Dubai not too long ago. You gave a big presentation at NVIDIA's AI conference. Yeah. What's next for you?
So this month, speaking of the mediums I was referencing before, something that I've been like working on for a long time is taking my pieces outdoors. This has been like, it's a hurdle. It's really hard to explain how big a hurdle this is. Like taking, cause I take a ton of pride in us, the pieces that we're making. We build them like satellites, like something you don't get back. Like it's not like a consumer device. It's got to be something that stands the test of time. So to go outdoors with that is a big deal. So for the last year and a half, we've been working and engineering a medium that can go outdoors. And so later this month, it's in a couple of weeks. I want to say within like 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going to bring that outside for people to see for a few days in Brooklyn. It's kind of half test, half photo shoot, half let people come see it. And then the piece has actually been commissioned by someone in Greece. So it's going to be installed in Athens. So
it's going to be Athens.
Yeah. It's not going to be publicly accessible, unfortunately, which is a problem with a lot of my pieces. It'll be in a private residence, but the more so than the piece, it's the underlying infrastructure and medium that like I can design these outdoor pieces that I know are really going to last, whether it's in Dubai heat or in the freezing cold of Alaska. That's the immediate next step. And then, I don't know, there's so many things going on. I mean, at any given time, there's, I don't know, anywhere from, we have about 150 to 200 conversations going on at any given moment.
Oh, wow.
It's really a lot. And to be honest, only maybe 1% of those end up happening, which is frustrating.
Wow, that's crazy.
Hard. But that's kind of the nature of this beast.
So just to wrap up this conversation and just 1 or 2 more questions, but I mean, 1%, that's a pretty
depressing,
narrow path.
Yeah.
You said it. I don't say it. Yeah. So what keeps you going?
That's a good question. I mean, I will say, like, if I look at, I mean, once I get off this call, the projects they just keep getting better. Like the opportunities just keep, like, I don't know, they're more and more of an honor to even be asked. Even if they don't pan out, every year we're getting invited to just conceive something for places that you're just like, this is crazy. This is crazy. That like,
Right.
Because my ultimate goal, honestly, I always say, is to build the modern day Eiffel Tower, meaning not literally, but meaning like create the monumental piece that is kinetic and moving, like something that feels like the world that we live in. But you look at it and, you look at the Eiffel Tower, you think Paris, right? It is iconic in that way. And I think we don't make things like that very much anymore, or they're buildings these days. But I think there's an opportunity to build something of that sort.
Wow.
That's what I'm excited to head towards. But
yeah. And then the last question is, anybody who wants to pursue a creative life like you did and you do, whether they are in college or graduating from college, but somebody who's early in their career, what would be your advice?
I gave some before, so I'll give a different one.
Yeah.
I remember in college there being a moment where I looked around. I was in a very small kind of, it's called visual communications, is like graphic design, advertising, and all this stuff. And it was a very small group of 17 people. And I remember this moment of looking around and realizing, they're all just talking to each other, and they're all like kind of complaining about the project we have to do, or they're like going to go and get a coffee. And I'm like, if I just put my headphones on and just start going at it, like, how much more can I get done? And like, I think this is a common thing, like, and maybe this is a theme. I've touched on this a few times, but I just remember, like, I guess my advice is stop. Like, it's so easy to distract yourself more than ever before, and just not put your headphones on and focus. But my God, it's like, if you can just teach yourself to do that, if you can like take watching your friends around you go and just like be sitting there and talking for 20 minutes. And if you can just stay focused and keep working during that, the net effect is so significant. Like, what you're going to be able to get done, the more you're going to be able to learn, you're going to zoom past everyone around you. It's just naturally going to happen. And I actually think it's a bit of a, I don't know. I don't want to say like it's just an unhealthy way to be. Like, if you're really kind of entrepreneurial and want to like just be doing something unlike everyone around you, I think learning to focus, which is not easy. It's much harder today than it's ever been. Like just mastering that. And I guess maybe I would say is take that as fuel. When you see people not focusing around you, like take that as a signal to like, I can do this even though they can't. And if you can teach yourself to do that, you're gonna find more hours in the day, which is just gonna constantly add up. It's compound interest in your creative pursuits. So that's what I could say.
That's a great piece of advice. And even for somebody, who's built a career in this industry for quite some time, 2.5 decades or so, focus is an ongoing topic and an ongoing challenge, to your point, with so many distractions that we all have. And I just happened to be reading a book called Deep Work by a professor named Cal Newport. And what it comes down to is just he's famous for not being on social media at all, and methodically approaching what he calls deep work. So I'm glad that you mentioned it, and even for me it really resonates.
It's not easy. I won't say that.
No, it's not.
And it's unfair when a lot of your business requires you to do Instagram and do like you need to be on all these things, and yet
I know
you're going to be better if you weren't. It's
right.
It's hard. I hate it.
Constant battle. If you are listening to this on Spotify, there's a Q&A field, so please do send us your questions and comments. And if you like our podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating. We're so grateful. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with breakfast as much as I did. I'm Ray Namoto, and this is The Creative Mindset. See you next time.